श्याम श्याम हरे गोपाल कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण हरे.
Welcome everyone to Yoga Body and Mind. My name is Lois Nesbitt. I've been teaching yoga out here on the East End for more than 30 years. I also teach in New York City and around the globe. But today I'm just happy to be bringing yoga back to my home turf. My intention with this program is two things: to talk about what we do when we practice yoga, because there's many different styles and techniques out there, and then why we practice, and finally to help you to find a yoga that works for you. So there'll be three different formats for this series. I'll have segments that are devoted to practice, on the mat, in a chair, sometimes just in your street clothes, standing up. I'll have sessions that I call Yoga SOS, where I zoom in on specific body parts, common injuries, way to prevent and heal injuries that might have come from yoga or any other aspect of your life. And finally, little yoga talks again on the why, the ideas behind the yoga, so that hopefully you'll understand that yoga is more than cat and cow, up dog and down dog. So welcome, and let's get started. Welcome everybody to Yoga Body and Mind. My name is Lois Nesbitt. Today's segment I'm calling SOS Feet. So I'm devoting this session to helping everybody to learn how to stand better and move through the world by reconnecting to our feet. Why does this matter? Well, we tend to be rather unconscious of our feet. So as little children, when a toddler first stands up from crawling to walking, in order to balance, because all they want to do is mimic their parents, be able to walk like their parents did, so they will either turn their feet out to help balance as they start to get steady, or they will turn their feet in to help balance. And whatever that pattern is that's set when you're maybe a year old, it's going to carry through your life. Sadly, what we really want to be able to do is walk with the feet parallel. Is a little harder to balance, but it helps to work the muscles of the legs and hips properly. So, first thing is that we're unconscious of our feet and we develop habits early on. Second thing is that most of us walk on hard floors all the time. The feet have a lot of nerves and muscles in them. That's why reflexology, foot massage, feels so incredible. But when we are walking always on a hard surface that's even, the foot, many of those muscles and nerves atrophy because they're not needed. As if you've ever walked on gravel or a beach, suddenly your foot is really alive and awake because it has to be. So we've numbed our feet. And then finally, the feet tend to atrophy because we wear shoes. Now, at best, your shoes can provide some cushioning against a hard surface, and they can provide some support. Maybe you need a little lift under your arches. At worst, the shoes can deform your feet. So I think women are very familiar with bunions, where the inner edge base of the big toe starts to protrude and become painful because they're wearing pointy-toed shoes that crowd the front of the toes and make the bottom of the toes widen. Other people, the shoes are just too small and the foot can't extend in all directions. And then I have a whole thing about reverse heel shoes. So if you wear Birkenstocks, Earth shoes, Merrells, Noits, all those alternative shoes have a dropped heel, which is not ideal, okay? So we don't want the heel to be too raised, like a high heel can cause a lot of problems for especially women who wear them. But a dropped heel is just creating a different kind of misalignment. We really want the foot to be even. So we're going to work today on how to stand, how to move, use your feet, how to help release some of the tension and stiffness that you may have accumulated through years of using your feet unconsciously. And then we're going to bring it into yoga practice, because if you bring those old habits into your standing poses in yoga, you're just perpetuating the misalignments. So waking up the feet is really important. So I've got my friend Deborah here, who's not only a yogi, but a dancer and probably spends a lot of time on her feet and maybe more time barefoot than most people, which, as I mentioned, can be great as long as we're using our feet well when we're barefoot. So first thing, Deborah, I'd like you to do is just run in place like this. Just loosen up, forget about your feet altogether. Think about your shoulders or your neck or something that has nothing to do with that lower part. And then just relax and stop and freeze and don't readjust your feet. So if she's a good yogi, which will probably, oh good, she didn't. Yogis immediately start to self-correct like this because we know. Yes, that's perfect. So if you can, yes, perfect, good student. So if you can see Deborah's feet, you'll notice, but I will talk you through it anyway. She has her right foot slightly forward and a little bit more turned out than her left, which is what I would expect from a right-handed person. Right-handed people, right shoulder, right hip will tend to be tighter, which makes the pelvis tuck under, the top of the right thigh pop forward, the foot move forward, and the foot turn out. Now, for her, that probably feels even because she's so used to that. Other people will have, like for me, I have right out also, but my right foot goes further back. All right. Other people, the left foot is funny. Some people, they're very, we call it duck-footed, feet turned out. Some people, 1 or 2 feet turning in. So this is her relaxed stance. The problem with this is that whatever is happening in your feet is going to translate up and affect your knees, your hips, your spine, all the way up to the top of the head. So think of a building. If the foundation of a building is not square, is not aligned well, you end up with everything else above trying to compensate, and you get the Leaning Tower of Pisa. It's unstable and it's askew. And that's going to throw off how all the muscles in the rest of the body have to perform. So the other thing that was unusual with Deborah actually is that her feet were very close together when she's just relaxed. Most of us are going to go a little too wide because it's just more stable. Then, Deborah, keeping your feet where they were, just recreate the yes. Eyes closed. Notice where your feet, where you're bearing the weight on your feet right now. So without changing anything, just notice your unconscious pattern. Do you put more weight on the outer edges of your feet? Are your outer arches collapsing? Is the outer foot bearing the weight? Or are you someone who rotates in on the feet, puts a lot of weight in the ball of the big toe, inner heel, and the inner arch collapses? Maybe it's even, but not as common. Are you putting more weight in your heels or in the front of your foot? Is there more weight on your right foot than your left? Noticing all this stuff is the beginning of change, okay? So in your unconscious pattern, noticing this is probably what you're doing 97% of the time when you're standing. So this is unconscious. Now we're going into conscious. The difference between standing and what we call Tadasana in yoga, standing mountain pose, is this. You're going to look down at your feet, set them parallel. Now, too wide is going to tend to make the inner arches collapse. Too narrow, like feet together, is going to be hard to balance. So ideally, inner hip width, which is probably 3 or 4 inches between your big toes, not very wide. It's not out here. When we say hip width, people tend to go, ah, right? So 2 or 3 inches, or sitting bone distance. If you bow forward and touch the 2 little bones in your butt, you'll feel them. They're about 6 inches apart. That's a good gauge of where your the center of your ankles should be. Coming back up. Now close your eyes and notice how you have to renegotiate the weight on your feet. You can't put more weight on one foot than the other, or inner or outer, because you've just changed the position. So number 1 with the feet is look down because it won't feel normal or habitual in the beginning, and reset. Second thing is now we've got the feet in position, but what is the action of the feet? So most of the time you think, well, nothing. They're touching the floor. They're holding me up. I got my shoes on. What's the problem? The problem is that even with your feet parallel, you're not using the muscles of your feet and ankles effectively, if at all. So first simple hack, and you have to do this barefoot, so please do this practice barefoot, is to lift and spread your toes. Just try that. Even if you have shoes on, you can try it. So when you lift and spread your toes, it tends to wake up the muscles on the soles of the feet, the inner and outer ankles, the front and back of the shin, the inner and outer shin, all the way up. Her quads are working now. Her kneecaps just rose. And then when the quads engage, then the tailbone and the hamstrings fire. and the whole lower body feels a current of energy. Can you feel the difference, Deborah?
Oh, yeah.
All right, great. So,
I'm actually using my hands for some reason.
yes.
I'm like
Exactly.
practicing my hands.
Exactly.
Because my feet are doing it.
Exactly. Yep. This is one of those funny circuits in the brain. Very common. So when you ask people to spread the toes, the hands go wee, which isn't a bad thing. They can participate too. Why not, right? But try this again, everybody. Relax. Let everything go slack. Feel yourself settling down toward the earth. And then lift and spread your toes and feel that current of energy move up from the feet and ankles, core of the pelvis. You're actually going to be not only feeling more awake and alive, but your feet are going to feel like they're rooting down, pressing into the earth, and the top of your head's going to grow a little taller. You will be standing an inch or so higher. And I can see Deborah in profile, and not only that, but her back is straight, her shoulders are back, everything is in a beautiful posture, not that sort of collapse down that most of us do, which is disempowering, unattractive. When you stand tall, like Deborah's doing right now, you will command a room just from that simple action of lifting and spreading your toes. And knowing that looks aside, what you're doing right now is therapy for your feet, your ankles, your knees, your hips, and everything above. So why not? Why not? Every time you remember from now on, lift and spread your toes. Now we're just going to get a little bit more specific for the nerds in the room so that you can really refine this. Your foot has 4 corners, and you can stay where you are, Deborah. Ball of the big toe, inner edge of the heel, ball of the little toe, outer heel. 4 corners. I think of them as like the stakes in the tent. Those 4 corners should be rooting down when you stand, and the toes are up. So Deborah, if you can just, if it helps you to balance, I'll help you. Lift your right foot up off the floor, spread the toes, and then put just the ball of the right big toe down. Ball of the toe is the base. Yes, good. Then the inner heel, inner edge of the heel. Yep. And then the ball of the little toe and the outer heel. So 4 corners root down.
Wow. It feels so different.
Oh, yay. Okay, I didn't even prompt that one. That was a spontaneous reaction.
Hands are doing this.
Yeah. That's all right. We'll let the hands be for now. But you feel the difference right and left feet, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
totally,
Yeah.
completely. Like, I don't think my foot's ever done this before.
All right. And yes, and we've both been around a while, so this is good information. It's never too late, right? New year, new you. Okay, now second side, we're going to even things out so she doesn't have one leg that's asleep and one that's awake. Yep, left foot comes up. Put the ball of the big toe down, not the toes, but the base of the toe, where the toe meets the foot. And then inner edge of the heel, beautiful. Yep, ball of little toe, outer heel. So now we got 4 corners on 2 feet. The toes are still up. That's going to be so hard to do and hard to remember. You might try to lift and spread your toes and nothing happens because the muscles have weakened. But over time, they will strengthen. And what happens when those 4 corners root down is not only is her outer arch up, her inner arch, but maybe even the outer arch will start to lift up so I can sneak my fingers underneath and join them in the middle. So eventually, over time, those 2 arches are active. Okay. Release.
I have to say, it feels really good.
Yay. Give me 5. Let's celebrate the small wins.
The top of my head, I felt it right up through the crown.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, so when you root down like this, I like to think of the surface of the earth as a trampoline. So it's not a hard floor, it's springy. And when you root down, you rise up. It's like a tree planting roots in the earth in order to grow up more. So getting that action down into the trampoline, up to the sky. Now, I'm going to show you a couple ways to stretch some of the muscles that might make this difficult for you. So first one, I'm going to just roll up my mat. You can use either a rolled up mat or a very thick beach towel or a yoga blanket. We're going to stretch out the calf muscles, which are the back of your lower leg, which tend to be very strong muscles on us and very tight from walking on flat surfaces or wearing high heels. So Deborah, you're going to turn to face the front of your mat and place the balls of your feet on the blanket, on the rolled mat, yep, but your heels on the mat, and I'll help you balance if you need it. Lift and spread your toes. Now, are you feeling a calf stretch there?
Yeah.
Okay, So you're going to come forward now, hands to the floor. If you need it, we can bring you blocks, but she's nice and bendy. So if this toes stay lifted, yep. So
Oh.
that's it. And then even try to straighten the knees. Yeah. Okay, so deep calf stretch, and she's expressing the discomfort because this muscle doesn't want to be straightened. It doesn't want to be stretched. If the stretch is not deep enough, you make a thicker roll. For most people, this is going to be plenty. And you just hold this for a short period of time, let the muscles release. If you have one calf that's tighter than the other, say you've had an injury or a surgery, so let's say her right calf is tighter, she can step the left foot back a bit, right off the mat. So step the left foot back and turn the heel out, and then just work on the right leg. Okay? Another way to do this would be standing at a wall and drag your toes down the wall until you feel the stretch. You can also do this on a staircase. Many of you have done this before. You hold the railing and you go up and down on your toes, on the balls of the toes. But when you go down on the staircase, keep those toes up. That's the kicker. That's what really makes this not only a deeper stretch, but an active stretch. Okay, Deborah, you can step back down and come down to sit. And I'm going to show you a couple of things you can do for yourself. Yes, that's perfect. So if you would just, let's do your left leg so they'll see better. So cross your right leg under like this and bring your left foot out and come on the heel. Now, if you have a teacher or a buddy like me, I'm going to come and do this for her. So knee is bent. This knee is bent. Oh. I'm going to rest her foot right in my hip crease. And then I take two hands. My fingers are going like this, like two sets, like little ridges. And I'm going to go down the, you don't have to do anything. I'm going to do it for you. I'm going to go down the two sides of the calf muscle to create a little release. Yay, right. This is a good one. Anybody, again, recovering from a knee surgery or more importantly, trying to avoid one? Recovering from a sprained ankle, from any kind of foot problems, even just walking with high heels or hard shoes or hard surfaces, this is great. So I'm doing this for her.
Thank you.
And let's do the right leg as well. Yeah, so this is the joy of private lessons, as I get to get in one-on-one with people and give them the extra TLC. But I'm going to show you a way to do this on your own at home too. So this program, yeah, this one's a little tighter, right? Stronger leg. As much as possible in this series, I'm trying to give you the things that you can do safely and effectively at home to give yourself the benefits, full benefits of a yoga practice. Now, it's more effective to have someone do this for you, but if you don't have someone, you can do it yourself by using your own hands, either 4 sets of fingertips or your thumbs, and you can go up the back of the calf. So the calf divides into 2 parts. The fingers are about 1 inch apart, and you're grabbing each of the 2 sides of the muscle and slowly dragging up with as much pressure as you can. Keep the foot flexed. In fact, it might even be a good idea to give yourself something to rest the foot on to remember. Do you feel it on your own there? Yeah. Relax your shoulders and your jaw.
My calves are so strong.
Yeah, they tend to dominate, and what's happening in the calf translates down into the foot and up into the knee. We'll do a whole nother segment on that, but the more release you can get there, the better.
I think it'd be easier to have
yes,
lose the...
bare skin is better if you don't, yeah. But if your skin is very dry or you're perspiring a lot, you might need to use a little oil on your fingertips. Okay, so that's to stretch the calf. Now, there's an opposing and antagonist muscle to the calf, which is the front of the shin. If you've ever had shin splints, that's the muscle that gets tender. It's smaller and usually weaker than the calf. The calf extends your foot. This muscle here, tibialis anterior, it flexes your foot or ankle. So to strengthen that, Deborah, you can stretch your leg out in front of you. I'm going to take a strap. Let's use a stronger one. So just a loopy, stretchy band. And let's just cross this foot over like Janu Sirsasana, out of the way. So what I'm going to do is give her some resistance. She's going to spread her toes, yes, and then try to pull the foot away from me. Yeah, and release, yep, and pull it in. And I'm using the strongest of these stretchy bands. It's black, they're color-coded.
I'm using my face.
Yeah, she's using her jaw to help. So there are red ones, blue ones, yellow ones, etc. Use a strength that works for you. If you don't have somebody nearby to help with this, you can loop this.
Feel it, like
Yeah, quads are working too. You can hook this around a strong chair or sofa leg, something that gives you some resistance. Okay. Now, to strengthen or work the calf muscle in good alignment, you can put the strap around the balls of the toes and practice the opposite. Spread the toes, keep the heel down, and press out through the balls of the toes. So it's going to be like you're pressing toward me. Yes, exactly. So I said that the calf muscles tend to be strong, but they might be a little bit misaligned. So here where you're not weight bearing and you can see your foot, yes, you can do that. Now I'm having trouble keeping the strap on the foot. You can do this with a yoga strap, or if you have a stretchy band, either a looped band or one of these longer, they're called TheraBands, available on Amazon, big investment. You can use that and it might give you a little bit more resistance without the slipperiness. Okay, and then release. And if you can come around onto your belly for me. So another way to strengthen the front of the shin, which will not be available to everybody, but I know Deborah is very flexible and agile. So she's easy, it's easy for her to get down on her, yeah. So come into Sphinx, that's good. Bend your right knee. We're gonna strengthen the front of the shin now by hooking the strap on the front of the foot. And can you reach around with one hand? I would use your right hand, yeah. Put this arm below you for support. Yeah, that's it. Now, can you pull in? Now try to push the foot away from you. Now, sorry, don't push the foot away from you, but flex and straighten. There you go. You feel it?
Yeah.
Now, if that's too much resistance, you can hold the strap lower down. Yeah. So the strap is not around the ankle, it's around the top of the foot. And what she's doing is extending, release a little, release the foot, and then pull it in. There we go. Getting it?
Yeah.
Okay, and release and pull in. As many times as you like, you can do sets of 10. You can try more resistance, less resistance, move slowly. Okay, so it's just a way to work that muscle without bearing weight. Great. Okay, so, and then if you would roll over slowly and come back up to sit. So last thing, that lifting and spreading the toes thing. So many of you, when you try to lift and spread your toes, they neither lift nor spread. Nothing happens. So to create more space between the toes, to stretch and release the toes, take your fingers between each toe. So I would go under the sole of the foot. So I would use the opposite hand. Yep. And you wiggle one finger in between each toe as low down as you can get. And they may not fit, but you can try. And then just wiggle the toes around and try to get as much space as possible. I know, it's hard, right? Yeah, you may not get everything, all the spacers initially, but do your best. Another way to do this is to get a set of what are called yoga toes, or if you've been to have a pedicure, those little spacers they put between your toes. The spacers in the manicure and pedicure salons, they tend to be foamy and not very strong. They're not going to give you much stretch. Yoga toes, which you can buy online, that's a brand name, they're rubbery and they're actually going to create quite a bit of stretch. So I would encourage you to try wearing the yoga toes around the house, while you're watching Netflix, while you're at your desk, during the day, just to start to release and make some space between the toes. So it's a passive thing, but it's important to get the stretching so that when you lift and spread, there's really something happening. Let's switch out the feet to the other side. So again, finger knees go in between each toe. And again, if it's a little tricky getting more space, often there's a lot of space between the big toe and the second toe, and then the other guys kind of want to hang out together. So do your best. Do these every day, especially if you're suffering from bunions. This is the best thing you could do for bunions, to get those toes to spread. Because the bunions, again, sometimes it's genetic, but sometimes it's from the toes being crowded together into those pointy-toed shoes. So we're doing the opposite now, and it's going to be very helpful. So again, when you're watching a movie, whatever, either do this with your hand or slip those yoga toes in and let them do the work for you. And then, of course, because I'm a nonstop 24/7 yoga person, stretch your legs out. If I were relaxing on the couch watching Netflix or whatever, football, I would be practicing flexing and extending with or without the straps. I would be practicing lifting and spreading my toes. So why not? Okay. And then the last thing I'm going to offer you as a way to, again, build up strength and awareness. Many of us sit at chairs at desks all day long. So for those of you who have desk jobs, but you want to be able to build some strength and create better alignment in your feet, if you'd come up to stand. And Josh or someone, if you could bring me, I'm sorry, Max, 2 yoga blocks. I think I will show this one from the front. Thanks. Yeah, any of them is fine, just 2. So you want 2 yoga blocks. I would start out with the foam ones. They're lighter and cheaper. As you get stronger, you can use the cork blocks, which are heavier, and to create more action. Take a seat, if you would, Deborah, facing the front of the room. 1 block on this width goes between her feet. So you're just sitting with your feet planted on the floor. She's hugging the block with the feet, and then a second one between the shins. And then you lift and spread your toes, and you get to work. Type, 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 listen, talk, text, whatever you need to do, make notes. Your legs are now super active. Feet are on the floor, but they're hugging the block. The toes are lifted and spread, the arches are lifting, the ankles are working, the front and back of the shin are working, some muscles I didn't even mention yet, outer shin are working, and you're creating healthier feet, ankles, knees, and that's even going to make you sit better all the way up into your hips. So this is a great hack. As I said, if you get stronger over time and you can support the weight of a cork block here, even better. Now, with all of these things, don't do this for 4 hours the first day, okay? Try small spells. I was trying to strengthen my wrists at one point, and I bought some wrist weights, and I typed for 2 hours, and I woke up in the middle of the night, my wrists were throbbing, okay? Do not go in all at once. But doing this for 10 or 15 minutes with a light block for a day, see how it works. Ideally, she's got a good chair here with a level seat and a straight back. We'll talk about that another day. Not a bucket seat, not a swivelly thing, but something that's stable enough to support her. So how does that feel?
It feels good. I feel like I'm sitting stronger. I do feel like I'm working my legs. Again, my hands wanted to engage.
Yeah. So I forgot to mention that the feet are the farthest part of the body from the brain. So if I took the props away, I can guarantee you that within 10 or 15 seconds, everything's going to fall apart. So the blocks are there as a reminder where the feet belong. The bottom block is to where the feet belong in space. It's a rough approximation, but it works for most of us. And then the top one is to keep the action, right? So yes, it's going to take a little more awareness, but the props are there to help you. So if all goes well, everything that I just introduced, which was we started with standing, then we tried some strengthening and sitting exercise, stretching exercises. This is for sitting. And then I want to just give you one last glimpse into a yoga pose, because all of this, bring it into your standing yoga poses, your seated, your supine, everything. So Deborah, if you would just come back up one more time and take the wide stance, standing forward bend. So Prasarita Padottanasana. Yeah, and bow forward. So you want to check here that feet are parallel, neither turned in nor turned out. So you have a little tendency to turn in, so just turn them out slightly. Yeah, lift and spread the toes. And notice we're going to do 4 corners of the feet, not rolling in, not rolling out. Balls of big toes up and spread still. Yep. Press down through the balls of the big toes, the inner edges of the heels, balls of little toes, outer heels. Weight is even on the 4 corners of the feet. It's not in, it's not out, it's not forward, it's not back. Now that's hard enough to do in the pose. It's even harder in the transition. So Deborah, put your hands on your hips and come up to stand with the weight still even on the feet, not rocking back. Yes, good job. Toes lifted. Yep, and now try lowering down without rocking back on your heels. Toes stay lifted. It's a serious balance act, and oh my God, her core has to work and her hamstrings. Excellent. And one more time, come up. Good. Does that feel a little different?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, step forward, step the feet toward each other, shake out. So Deborah does Ashtanga yoga. She does this pose every day, done it for years, but it's this amazing way to turn up the juice and get more out of your practice. So happy feet, happy body, right? If the base of the body is secure, everything above is going to feel great. If there's something a little askew, just even a tiny bit down here, ricochets up, you might end up with TMJ, one side of your jaw tighter than the other, because everything else is compensating. All right, so let's stand tall, proud, arms by your sides, Tadasana, and let's welcome in a new relationship to the earth through the soles of our feet. Thank you so much, Deborah. Namaste. Thanks for joining me today, everyone. If you'd like to find out more about me and my yoga offerings, please visit my website, which is loisnesbityoga.com. If you missed an episode, you'd like to replay an episode, or you want to weave some of these practices into your daily routine, please check out the archived episodes. You can find them on my yoga channel on YouTube, which is Lois Nesbit Yoga. They're also available on the LTV East Hampton website, which is ltveasthampton.org, and the LTV YouTube channel, which is LTV East Hampton. See you next time.
LTV's programming is made possible by the New York State Council on the Arts, with the support of the Office of the Governor and the New York State Legislature.